we'll talk about it. We have to celebrate, because last week I talked about Biden possibly winning. We didn't know at the time of recording. We found out. Where were you when you found out that Biden officially was the president-elect?
I was sitting in front of my TV watching CNN like I was starting on Tuesday. The only thing I watched from Tuesday until Saturday morning was CNN, that I feel like I became friends with John King and Wolf Blitzer, because they were and Jake Tapper, who was falling asleep on TV, but they were the only people I interacted with. And I mean, because I just screamed at the TV. Did
you find yourself weirdly attracted to John King after a while?
I was attracted to everyone I saw on the screen. Abby Phillips, I mean, everyone.
First of all, CNN really brought it this time around. I mean, I've had a love-hate relationship with CNN. I don't love all of their people. However, I felt like they were being very conservative with reporting these numbers. So when they officially said it, I think that's when the entire world started celebrating that President-elect Biden would be the president of the United States.
And they were the first to call it also. So considering they were so conservative leading up to it, and then they were the first to call it, as soon as they said it, that's when my celebration started. I didn't even hear any other network call it.
It's crazy because, as I said to you before, last week when we talked about it, no one really knew. It was still up in the air. He was leading in the electoral votes. However, people did not know until Saturday, early, right before the afternoon, they announced it. And there were celebrations across the United States, specifically here in New York City. People were, celebrating, screaming, honking horns, not here in Staten Island, but everywhere else in New York City. Were they doing that in where you are?
They were. It wasn't as much. There weren't as many crowds, but there was someone. I was out for a walk after, and there was someone wearing my Biden tank top, obviously. But there was someone just walking around with a huge Biden-Harris sign over his head, just walking like back and forth. He probably was just walking in circles, but he'd walk by crowds, and you would just hear honking and screaming. It was just so exciting. Like I couldn't stop smiling all day.
Rewinding back to 2016 when we found out that 45 had become president. How did you feel back then as opposed to the celebratory feeling that you had this past week?
Two total opposite reactions. I was truly devastated in 2016. And it wasn't that I thought Hillary Clinton should have been president or was the best candidate, but I was so against Donald Trump. And everything that he stood for and stands for, and him as a person. And I remember I was at my last company. So that the next night, because we found out, it was like in the middle of the night it came out, I think. It was like 4:00 in the morning or something. We had our huge gala, and it was, we knew, no matter what, people are going to be upset about it. And it was such a miserable, you walk through the streets and it was like this terrible, terrible thing just happened, and everyone felt it and no one wanted to talk about it. And the office was completely silent. And normally the day of the gala, everyone's running around, everyone's crazy. There's just so much energy. And I just remember watching the concession speech in the morning, I think, in an office with probably 20 other women, dead silent, just passing tissues around. Like, it was just so emotional. Wow. Like, to be a woman, to not know what it meant. It was terrible. And when I first registered to vote, when I was in college, was for Barack Obama. And the excitement around that. And it like, I grew up in a family that was always very interested in politics, but to be 18 for that election was so fun. It was in a huge college town. It was just so exciting. So to go from, that, and then it was Obama again, to what happened in 2016 was just devastating. And then 2020, I was so nervous. And you know that we talked about it all the time. I was so nervous about what was going to happen. I was volunteering. I was postcard writing in Pennsylvania for small races. The goal was to just get people noticed in Pennsylvania for small races so people vote up and down the ballot. And I was virtual volunteering in Arizona and all of these places to do everything I possibly could. So
we probably should be thanking you.
Not at all. I would sit in my room and just do some postcards a little bit every day. And it was so therapeutic for me because I just had so much anxiety and was so stressed out about it. So as it started getting closer to, them projecting Biden, I kept saying, you never know, something might happen. And I could see the numbers going up for him. And I just said, until they call it. And when they called it, I called my mom. I was on with my sisters, my dad. Like, we were all like crying. We were so excited. So excited. And it's not just, the person who I wanted to win or the party I wanted to win, but it is that all of these people came out to say, I'm not standing for another 4 years of this. And it's been terrible. And COVID is getting worse. And, foreign relations are terrible right now with the United States and everyone except for Russia and North Korea. So I walked around all day with a huge smile on my face, and I cracked open a bottle of wine and just felt like things are going to get much better.
Without a doubt. And I think a lot of people probably will reiterate that same sentiment listening back to this podcast. I don't know. I honestly, when 2016 happened, I was shocked, of course, but I try to always find the positive in things.
Yes, you did.
And I can still find the positives in what's happened in the last few years, because it has gotten people a lot more involved. One of the surprising things, though, for me, despite everything that's happened within the last few years, but specifically in 2020, that it still, at the very beginning, seemed like a very close race, and it was close in certain states. I'm just shocked that people didn't vote for decency over someone that clearly is self-interested. This person is not interested in helping anyone besides himself. That to me, it's just hard for me to understand how people don't see that.
I agree with that. And I think it's scary. And I was talking to one of our mutual friends right before they called it. And he said, I just can't believe how many people came out and voted for Trump again, especially after seeing what he is capable of in 4 years.
Even
and I
more
said
white
to
women.
him, yep. And I said to him, I agree 100%. It makes no sense to me. It makes me so angry. And I also didn't realize how angry I had been over the last 4 years until President-elect Biden was announced. But I said to him, it's unbelievable how many people still came out and voted for him. But what we have to focus on right now is that he lost, which, whether he wants to admit it or not, he lost. And what our White House is going to look like. We have a president who believes in, we will have a president who believes in science and that systematic racism is a problem, and we're too divided and there's too much hate. And his wife is a doctor and a teacher, and she will still be teaching community college when she's first lady, and our first female vice president who's Black and Asian, and her Jewish husband. And it makes, I could cry. It makes me so excited.
But this is exactly what should have happened after President Obama. But President Obama said it best after the election. He said that, equality is not for free. Equality is not something that that will continue to happen. It's something that people have to come out and vote for. And that's what we saw in 2016. A lot of people did not come out and vote. And I think even within this electoral college, despite it being, people want it and some people don't want it, it really does matter. Each vote, specifically in those specific counties of these different states, it mattered about each vote, because there were some close races, specifically in Georgia.
Yeah.